Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone tuning in for today's panel discussion of the South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum. My name is Dora Coniloro. I'm a social worker and a child welfare specialist. I'm very glad to be moderating today's session on female teachers in South Sudan, the challenges and opportunities they face. We are streaming live from our Facebook page and YouTube channel, so please follow, share, and leave your questions and comments. Joined with me today are three experts in the field of education. We are only having two at the moment, but hopefully the third one will join us. They will give us some insights into the topic, and if time allows, we'll be able to take some of the questions from you, the audience. So I'll go on and present them to you. First one out is Honorable Nagomoro Bridget. She's a teacher by profession. She has served in the government as county commissioner, minister of health, state member of parliament. She's the founder and initiator of Iba Girls Boarding School. Her background is education, and she has a diploma and degree, and also master's in education. Her second master's is in development management from the Open University in the UK. You're very welcome, Honorable Nagomoro. Our second panelist is Duru Raida. Duru holds a diploma in secondary education from Kayambugo University in Uganda. She's currently teaching in Juba Christian Center Model Secondary School, and she's the senior woman teacher, female teacher in charge of girls' affairs at the school she's teaching. She teaches history, geography, and citizenship. Welcome, Ms. Duro. Our third panelist out is Iziku Perez. I hope she joins when her connections gets better. Izuku holds a master's in education, planning, and curriculum development. She has worked as education project officer for World Vision in South Sudan, and she has held that position for 2 years. In Uganda, she worked as education officer at Windle International for 1 year and World Child Canada for 2 years. She has also worked with Peace International Uganda, a project that ran for 4 years. Izuku is currently self-employed. She's running a shop and doing consultancy trainings with individuals and organizations in life skills of making soap, liquid soap, bar soap, and cosmetics. She's also involved in poultry, piggery, and goat rearing. So hopefully you'll join us, and you're welcome, Ms. Izuku. Educating the population is very crucial to the development of South Sudan. An educated population provides a skilled workforce, which is key for facilitating competition in the local economy and spurring economic development for the entire country. Education enables individuals to think critically, to solve problems, and work together to resolve conflict. Education not only equips a population with tools that are useful in everyday life, it also represents hope for the future and lays the foundation for change. For Africa, and in general, and especially for South Sudan, education is the key to long-term development, poverty reduction, and nation building. And teachers are the core of education. And we are so happy to have them with us here so they can be able to give us the insight into this topic. And of the 80 million teachers worldwide, more than half are female. And while most developed countries have a higher share of female teachers, women in sub-Saharan Africa still compose a minority in the profession. Female teachers tend to be concentrated in the early years of school, and while they are just as qualified as their male counterparts, they do not advance proportionally to leadership positions in schools like their male counterparts. Female teachers are important for education systems and for gender equality. Evidence suggests that female teachers may increase girls' test scores, and their likelihood of staying in school. They heighten their aspirations and they lower their likelihood of being subject to violence. So I'm really happy to read your biography, Duro, that you are the female head in the school and you are responsible for the girls' affairs or the students, female students' affairs in the school. So, and the teacher labor market we know is really important for women. In some countries, we see that teaching is one of the few high skilled professionals that is accessible to women. So it also gives us the reason to have more women in this profession as teachers. So I'll go on and ask you some of the questions that we have prepared. And I'll start with you, Honorable Nagomoro. What is the general situation of female teachers in South Sudan? Please walk us through this with some details and examples of the situation right now. Thank you. You are on mute. We can't hear you, Honorable. Sorry.
And the one who is yet to come and join us. Glad to meet all of you after a while. Thank you so much for this moment. Now, allow me take you through the general views and situation of female teachers in South Sudan. First and foremost, female teachers in South Sudan are very few. And they are few due to the issue of dropouts in schools at early stage. Those who make it to the higher level are the ones who choose the career, and a few of them to go for the teaching profession. So they are just a handful in South Sudan currently. And these few, most of them also are untrained because we don't have so many training centers for teachers in South Sudan. Few of them are here and there scattered across the country, but not so many as we expect them to be. And some of these few female teachers also are being denied to go and exercise their knowledge in schools due to the challenges they receive from their husbands. Because most those who are married, they stop them and say, "You're wasting time to go and teach. Please stay at home, teach the kids that we have with you, and run the family activities." So this is also something that happens to these few female teachers here. And still, some of them are also not fully favored in schools. Some are sidelined because the general view of a female teacher is maybe they cannot perform well, or they cannot even compete with the other male counters who are also the teachers in schools. This one affects so much the female teacher in school. We can also look at the cultural background, which affects all of us. And you look at the pastoralists, they love girls so much, but not for education, mainly for the exchange of cows. Of course, cows are very important in education. And in that way, we get few teachers from that community. And likewise for the agriculturists, we who are in Western Equatoria, we as a community also in our society tend to have a negative attitude towards female education, and to groom a girl to become a female teacher is not easy because we feel like the community society like the bride price, and in that way it hinders the profession of being a teacher, and many could have come up. And in that case, counting what I've mentioned to you, a few of them, we end up having a few female teachers in this country. But we are hopeful maybe in the nearest future, if all the issues are being resolved well, then we can have them. Thank you. Thank you. Do you hear me?
Thank you so much, Nagomoro. You mentioned about women, especially girls, not being groomed up to become female teachers. And because of our cultural norms, I think, in the society, as you mentioned, some of the tribes that we have. But what do you think is being done in regards to that? How can we challenge that?
There are ways that we can go forward as it flows in the next questions that we are going to talk about. The ways that it can go a little bit forward is we need more schools for girls. We need to encourage young women because as I talk, if we need many more teachers in the future, we need to educate the young ones who are after us. We groom them in a very careful manner that they will not be polluted by the environment of getting early marriages, of getting pregnancy. We need to protect them like eggs. In that way, in the nearest future, we shall have very many female teachers. And also, we need to promote them. We need to encourage them that they can do better. And in fact, female teachers are very much committed once they're given the chance. So we need to encourage and groom and promote them in their professions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insight. I'll move on to you, Duro. Many people, or we have seen that South Sudanese have been met with this claim that our education system is, or the quality of our education is one of the worst. What do you say about this statement, and what can be done to improve the quality of education in South Sudan as a teacher, yourself?
Thank you so much, Dora, the moderator. To this question, according to me, because I am a teacher, the question says how many people claim that South Sudan has the worst quality of education. To some extent, I can say, yeah, it's true. Though of recent, it is improving the serious level according to my observation, but we still have a lot to put in to improve to some standard. The reason why I say that is because generally when you look at the education system having poor quality or producing graduates, let me say, who are sometimes incompetent when it comes to certain things. When we compare our country to other countries, and then you see why our let me say our citizens are sending their kids away to other countries to study, is because they've done some comparison of how the schools here are and then in other countries. And that one clearly shows us that the quality of schools in our country is not doing well. But of course, there are reasons why these things are happening, why we have the poor quality education or the worst quality of education. One I've observed, one of it it is caused by us, all the citizens, especially in the education sector. One point that I really observe is so bad, and if we would change on it, it will be so good. That is when it comes to examination, there's a lot of malpractices where you find that these students, they do not concentrate in reading because they have the mentality that at the end of the exams, or when it comes to exams, we will be provided with the materials to answer. And then you find that they do not put in more energy to do their research, to read, and then prosper with their own knowledge. So you find that I've realized most of these students relax, waiting for ready things. They just want to get something on a silver plate. That is why at the end of the exam, so at the end of their school, you find out that the quality that they are having is really poor. That is one of the reasons, and that one goes beyond the schools, even it goes beyond teachers. What we've realized that one comes from the setting at the Ministry of Education. They do not have restrictions during the setting of exams. You find that because people are desperate, they want money, and then they start, after setting exams, they start selling out these exams. These exams are sold out with some good amount of money that they are spread out, and then people do as if you see people scoring, yeah, they really score, but they have been given these materials, they've done nothing, they've not read, they've struggled, and then that's why we end up having our education system ruined. Even when you go to other countries, cheating is there, but it is minimal. It is not too much. It is not too rampant like us. You find, you go to a printing place, you already find that the national exams is already there being printed out, given to students, which is not really good. And that one shows that it is at the top level where these things are happening, because if there are restrictions, it cannot be happening. And then the other reason why we have a poor quality education is few teachers, few trained teachers, if I may say. Because, the quality of learners come from the type of teachers they have. If the teachers are not, they are not trained. For example, most of the schools in South Sudan have, let me say, senior four leavers. They are all, like, most of them are senior four leavers. And then you find that these senior four leavers, some of them even teach in secondary schools, which is without any training. They just come with the raw material and then just give to learners. Not even, let me say, when you compare a trained teacher to a senior four leaver or an untrained teacher, there's a lot of difference. You do not only give something in class, but you go beyond that. That is why when you look at the level of these untrained teachers, there are so many, according to my observation, there's very many. And then you find that some of them, they are in the colleges and universities doing different courses, but because they want to get something for their upkeep, you find that they find, okay, let me go and teach as I do what as I pursue my other course. It's just like a waiting kind of it's just like something to wait, to be there so that you and it's like casual work. Teaching is no longer something like a profession. Some people go because they want to get money, and the moment they are done, they leave. Of course, when somebody has the love and you train in it, you will put everything in you to make sure that child comes out the best. But if you're there just because you're teaching to get money and then you leave at the end of the day, you're not going to do your best. You're going to leave the students hanging, having a raw uh, knowledge that is not being digested so well compared to a trained teacher. So the other reason why we have a poor quality education also is because of, when you look at our current, let me say, curriculum. Our current curriculum is it's good, but also to some extent, before, I remember we were using curriculum from different countries. We were using from Uganda, we were using from Tanzania, from Kenya, from other countries. We were just combining the curriculum. But of recent, the South Sudan curriculum has been put in place. But still, according to my observation, this curriculum is not up to date. When you look at these books, as us teachers, we really have to back these books up with other materials from other countries, because you find that these books, you might teach the book like it's very small, and you're supposed to teach it for the whole year. So you have to go deeper. And then when you go deeper, what do you do? You have to extract things from different books, books that do not belong to our country. So because of that, most of those untrained teachers, they do not have that knowledge of getting enough information for the learners. They will just concentrate on that book. And you find that they will finish the book in just one term. One term, they say they are done with the syllabus. Yeah, they are done with the syllabus and then they relax. But you see, if when I was comparing actually the curriculum of other countries with ours, you find that their books are having different kind of settings, examples, and what have you. That is why we borrow ideas from other curriculum or other books from other countries. But if we are to have just the same, we can have our own. If we are to borrow ideas, or if we are to borrow books from other countries, it will be to a smaller extent. Now, when you look at our students, most of them buy these books, or they go to the library, they get these books. Okay? When they get these books, they read. And then in their mind, they feel that this is the only thing I have to put in my brain, or the only knowledge I have to get is from this book, without consulting or going wider. So if these books can be improved in future with time, the curriculum that we have, I know it is not the end, but with the time, as the country, the education system or the sector continues to develop, let them add in, let them slowly research and come up with something a bit wider, understandable to the learners. And then you find that some of these books also, topics that are supposed to be taught in senior one, they are not even there. They instead bring topics that are supposed to be taught in senior four. You know, in learning, you have to start with the simpler or the simplest, and then you go to the harder. But here you find that, like for example, in senior one, in geography, the book is telling them Tennessee Valley, they are already World War One in senior two, World War Two in senior one. Yet these are topics that are supposed to be handled in classes like senior four. In other countries like Uganda, where there's advanced level, those topics are handled there. Somebody's capacity in senior one can hardly really take in some of these topics that are being given to these learners in the lower classes. That's why you find them, it is very hard unless you have to break it into you have to break it and give them in bits for them to understand it. And that one makes it also harder for us as teachers. So you find that when you put in a teacher who is not trained, the same book that she's handling, that is the only information she's going to give to the learners. Then after that, the person disappears. The learner will go with the same information in in her head, thinking this is what we all have. At the end of the day, you promote the student to the next class like that. The student gets the same thing in that class until the student or pupil or finishes that level, goes to the tertiary institution. You find that now there's problem. There is no research. In the universities and colleges, we have to do research. That is why you find it very hard for some of these learners when they reach an advanced level, or these tertiary institutions. They find it very hard to do some research because of the way they've been taught in these lower classes, and that is all leading to the poor quality, or the poor quality of our education system in South Sudan. Another reason why I can also agree to that, you find that when students from here go to other countries, when the student is in primary four, let me say the student is done with P8 from here, and then is going to senior one in, let me say, in Uganda. And then instead of, they are supposed to convert these results of P8 to the Ugandan standard. So what they do there, if she or he was in grade, let me say in first grade here, or the percentage she was the best, there they will lower it by one. Let me say, for example, If she's in the first grade, there they will put him or her in second grade. If you're in second grade, when you reach those countries, they will take it to third grade, like that. Third, fourth. So that means that one shows that we still have a lot. Our system of education is very, very poor. That's why you find most of these parents are rushing their children to these other countries because they believe that our education system is worse. And then the other reason, when we look at most of our schools generally, the good schools, about that, the good schools are located in towns, in urban centers. What in the countrywide, if you're to compare, or if you're to compare how many schools are in the rural areas and how are they doing compared to the schools here, you find that we only have better schools only around Juba. And then maybe when you go to other parts of the country, in the towns, in the cities or in the towns of those villages. But beyond that, the schools there are terrible. There are no scholastic materials. Other pupils and students are learning outside under trees, and then you find that all because of this, some of them still end up they end up dropping out because of the poor quality of education, or the system of education that is only concentrated in urban centers or urban areas. That is why you get somebody from, let me say, deep inside Torit or Yambi, or deep inside. You compare that student to some student in Juba, you will see also the difference. So with the time, if the government is to make this, like, take more or construct more schools, better and better schools in other parts of the country or in other counties, let me say in other counties, it will also improve the quality of education. And then the other reason why we have a worst, or the quality worst, our quality of education, I mean, is very bad, is also because of the poor, let me say, the low pay of the teachers. We have really trained teachers, especially teachers who finish from other countries. They are there. There are so many, but now the challenge is they don't want to go to teaching. Most of them, we have a lot of them actually, but they are not in the teaching sector. Others have gone to start up businesses. Others have joined NGOs. That is why you find that there are very few teachers in the schools because of less pay, no benefits. You find the teacher is a government teacher is earning something like 5,000 per month, and with that 5,000, it doesn't come monthly. You will maybe get it after 6 months. That's when you'll get it. That's why you find that in most of these government schools, the teacher even doesn't appear. He doesn't come to school. He will stay like 1 week, then he will come, monitors around, and then goes back. The whole day, the learners will only have like 2 subjects, and then they go home because the teachers are demoralized because of the pay, and then the system that the money is small. They go and hustle somewhere where they can find some good money, and then because of that, also you find that most of these schools are very far. Most of the schools are very far for these teachers. There are certain schools, there are some private schools that have brought some system where they have vans for teachers. These vans will pick teachers from the different areas where they reside. So you're picked and then you're taken direct to school. From school, you're brought home. And then you find that such schools, they're having the number of teachers. Actually, all the teachers in such schools are trained, and it is among the best schools. I have an example here in Juba. We have a Juba diocese. They have a system. They have a bus for the school. So they transport teachers from home to school, from school back home. That is why you find that there all the teachers are trained. they do not leave abruptly. The reason why we have sometimes this poor quality education is because learners, as a learner, when a learner is used to a teacher, to a specific teacher, then you change abruptly that teacher, especially in the lower classes. You change, all of a sudden you change and bring for them a new teacher. It disrupts their mind. And this is what we are suffering from in South Sudan. You find that the teacher will join very well, he will teach for only 1 week, and then all of a sudden disappears. You bring another teacher. Gradually, these lower classes get affected. Their brain gets disorganized because the teachers are being changed like weekly. I was a deputy in a certain primary school some time back, and then I really faced that problem because there you're paying a teacher. I was the deputy and I was earning like 30,000 SSP, and then other teachers were earning like 25 SSP. Okay, so every time I get a teacher, the teacher will stay for like let me say 1 week. The moment she or he finds out that there's a casual job somewhere, he will leave that job of 25,000 and disappears for a better one. And then you find that by the time the year ends, you've changed over 10 teachers. So you can imagine how that affects the learners also. They become unstabilized. And then every teacher comes with a new system of teaching. This one also affects the learners so much. At the end of the day, you find that they don't perform well because of that changing teachers. But if all these schools were to have a system where at least, even if they are not paid well, but there are benefits given, like transport. You give transport to teachers to take them home and bring them to school. I'm sure it is a big challenge, and that will address some of these challenges in most of these schools. Transportation, you find schools that give that, they are really improving transportation. And then you find that there are schools that are giving marking allowance. There are schools that are giving invigilating allowance. You find that these teachers can even stay in your school for more than 5 years, because he is getting something that is making him actually satisfy his family and himself. But the moment you find that by the end of the month, all what you've got is finished, what do? You disappear to go and get a better job with some better pay. That is why most of our schools, or that is why our education system is really down because of all this. And then my point on this, the other reason is if we could also have a lot of, let me say, training, national teachers colleges, countrywide, let me say so. Because you find that these colleges are important. Why? Because the moment these colleges are put in place, there are people who are staying home after finishing Form 4. They are staying home. They do not have the money to go ahead. In other countries, you find that such a person who is staying home and has nothing to do will definitely go to a teachers college. And what do they get from that teachers college? The government also pays half of their tuition, okay, and then they pay half of their tuition. And because of that, the moment they finish their training, they are immediately allocated to these schools. You find that even in you yourself, after finishing, you develop that love for teaching, not because you were forced, but because of the courage you're given. And then the other thing is, people discourage teachers. People are discouraging teachers so much. They look at it like it is not a good profession. That's why teachers also run away and then leave learners uh, with a poor quality system of education. As for now, I think that is all I can say concerning our quality of education in South Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for an elaborate list of challenges and why our education system is so poor as it is, or the quality of our education. And you mentioned many things, and I think it's really important because the quality of education is based on also the quality of teachers that we have. And the gaps that you mentioned, like children going to secondary school with so much gap when in the primary school they haven't gotten the real good foundation in the education, and teachers as well. It's a very important profession. It's unfortunate that people are leaving these professions because they are not paid well, and we don't have, as you mentioned, the training, teachers training colleges that should be in place to be able to give the teachers the good education for them to be able to teach our children also. And I think it also has to do with the good teachers you say that are choosing other professions to work on. And it's also because of the resources. Like when you're in a school and you don't have the resources to be able to teach, then you feel like you're not adequate enough, you're not be able to do your job as a teacher. So these are lots of challenges that the government has to look at. And as you mentioned, in regards to, exams being leaked out, and children and students don't really focus on studying to be able to, apply the knowledge that they have, but find the easy way out to just get the answers to the exam. So this is not really a good thing. And we are building, a nation of young people who are going to compete with other students abroad. So these are really important challenges to look at. Before I move to the next question, I'll just ask you, Birgit, if you want to comment on what Duru has said, being a teacher yourself, and you are a teacher in a private school, is it so different than the other schools in regard to the quality of the education that you offer?
Thank you so much. Yes, I would like to emphasize a few of the most important points that she has already raised. One is the low salary given to the teachers. Sincere speaking, uh, our teachers cannot get committed because they're not satisfied. And that also encourages them, as she mentioned, malpractice. When they sell that exams out, they get the little money that they need. Actually, this is one of the key elements that is killing, I would say, the system of education in this country. So what I want to recommend here is salary structure should be put in a proper manner, that teachers are paid in time. If it means end of every month, please pay them their dues. Because just to give an example on that point, if you go to the University of Juba, there are so many faculties there. When you go to the Faculty of Education, a few intake of students are there, just because teaching profession has become like it's pointless to go for it, because you will never benefit anything. Your effort and energy to educate children will just go in vain. There will be nothing to come back to you as to support you with your family, and also to you need to feel happy, because you need accommodation, you need transport. As a teacher, you need to devote your time to commit your life in order to raise the future leaders for this country. So it is a point that low salary structure has not helped the students. Now, with the example of urban schools and rural schools, yes, it is true. There is a huge difference. A few private schools or community schools perform well because they really care for them. I would give the example of the school in a rural area like Ibagan School. That school has a very good system, and we employ well trained teachers. We accommodate them, we feed them well, we transport them, we pay them well, and they feel contented as teachers, and they really devote their time, be it male and female, and they really teach their students in a manner that in a term or two terms. A girl who came not knowing anything come again in the second term, you will find her transformed. She will be able to articulate and even to read and do things with interest and happiness. So these basic areas help. Teachers are human beings. They too need to be satisfied in order to impart knowledge to the young ones. Then the third point, changing of teachers. Of course, some are running away because of the challenges. Then sometimes in private schools, like what I've mentioned, the teachers are there contented to run and to commit themselves. But you may find that the head teacher feels like any little mistake, a teacher is terminated, a teacher is sent away. And immediately the students are just affected because teachers teach in different manners, as she mentioned, different methods of a way a kid, a pupil, a student can learn. But when you change them, it affects the learning for the learners. Please, as people who are listening to us, if you are the headmaster of a school, whatever, never change teachers like changing dress. Teachers are technical people and very important. And I'm just afraid now that the teaching profession is no longer a profession, people are running away from it. Exactly what will happen in the nearest future? How shall we get the leaders? I don't know. That is a question. Unless otherwise, we as a country have decided to say no education, and we can go with we can build the country on illiteracy, or we can do it on natural wisdom. I don't know. They know what they want to do. But to me, I'm saying these areas I'm emphasizing because she has already raised it. It's very important for everyone to hear us, and in a special way for the government to come up with the proper budget priority for the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable. That was a really clear message out to the government and for us all to invest in teachers because it's really important. Without teachers, we won't get our future leaders, and a community or a country without knowledge or educated people is a failed nation. So we really have to invest on that. So thank you so much. I'll move on to the second question, and I'll start with you, Nagomoro.
Yes.
Why are the female teachers crucial for the continuation of girls' education in South Sudan? What are some of the obstacles that are facing girls and the ones that you have seen in your school, both primary and secondary school, and how can the situation be improved? So please walk us through this.
Thank you very much. Yes, female teachers are very crucial. They are very important, be it in a mixed school, especially in girls' school. Female teachers, when you look at them, these are role models to the young ones. Just the way they teach, the way they move, the way they interact with the students, the students learn a lot from their behavior. And so they look at them as the role models that they can pick from them to build their future and their studies. So female teachers, in many cases and in most of the cases, they are the role models to the pupils. Female teachers are mentors to the students, especially to girls, in solving girls' problem. You look at the adolescents, we call it a crazy age. Adolescent girl, adolescent boy, they look like they've taken opium. They don't understand what they're doing. Certain things are just coming out in them. But when the female teacher is there with the guns, she sits down with them, she understands what is happening to them, and then she explains to them, and she also encourages them, she bears with them, she shows them the way that at this age, normally this is what happens, but thereafter, this is what will happen. And now that you are in adolescent, you have to handle yourself this way. For example, if a female teacher is in girls' school like mine, we take girls who have not received ministration yet. So when the time comes, whom does she run to? If that's the school is only having male teachers, the girl will find it difficult to go and express herself. But with a female teacher, she runs to that person quickly and she says what has happened to her, and the male teacher will really encourage her and say, it is normal. It shows you are healthy. It also shows you are growing. You are becoming from one is moving from the childhood to maturity. And they are really mentors to girls in school. And they can also mentor boys. I know that one very well. To continue, these are parents. Female teachers are truly parents to girls in school. Some girls, when their parents are dead, they lose them. They feel there is nobody that can fill that gap. My mom is dead, my dad is dead. I'm really talking to you. These female teachers can fill that gap for the girls. They can really handle them like their parents. And in that way, they will tend to forget easily that my mom is dead, but I have the other mother here who's my teacher. And she loves me. She cares for me. She is patient with me. She handles me the way my mom used to be, and so on. And this one will open ways for her to concentrate on high studies and to move ahead. As mothers, they look at them like aunts. Some girls are more closer and even find it easy to talk to their aunts. So they look at them, my teacher, my mother, my aunt, and so on. So these female teachers are really very important. Again, another reason is female teachers a motivation to the girls in schools. When they are demoralized, maybe something has disappointed them, the female teacher will motivate them, will show them the way, will talk to them, will help them. So they are a sign of motivation to the girls in school. And this is what happens in my school. Really, the female teachers who are there helped so much. And those who were terminated in a very unprofessional manner, I felt so bad because these were mothers to the girls, and the girls love them so much. You see, they feel free with them. And once you have that intimate friendship, that love between you and the girls, actually, you have bridge the gap between you and the learners, and they will easily learn and pick from you whatever you teach them. So these female teachers are a motivation to the girls. They also understand and encourage these girls very much and show them the way for the future. What would you like to be? They talk to them in a friendly manner. Whatever profession, they guide them. Even career guardians come from the female teachers. Or you want to be this is what you're supposed to do. These are the subjects you should concentrate on. And this is the way you have to move on. And you help yourself, protect yourself from these dangers here and there. Could it be boys? Could it be what? And then the female teachers guides and protects these young people really to achieve their dreams and their goals. And they are very, very important in the lives of the girls. Now, looking at the obstacles that the girls face when they are in school, the first one I would mention is girls when they reach that adolescent and moving to puberty and so on. That is under age 14, 15, 16, 17, as I mentioned earlier on. They develop that natural body. Their breasts come up. The body looks, this is the woman. Once she's just a child, she's not a woman, but the body is coming up naturally. So this is a temptation to their unprofessional teachers and professional male teachers, because professional teachers know the ethics. So it becomes a temptation because they harass them sexually. They think this is a woman, she's ready for me now. So I should be the first. I should be the first. There is a thunder going on.
Yeah.
um, the male teacher, the boys or the community around would begin to run after these girls, thinking, oh, I should be the first to reach there. When I say reach there, I'm a teacher, you know what I'm talking about. And in that way, they will spoil this girl, whoever they will compete, and whoever will grab her the first, they will compete over this innocent girl. And when these people are running after this girl, actually she doesn't know. She feels, I'm loved. I know people like me, not knowing she's in a dangerous moment. Therefore, this is the first challenge and obstacle that faces girls from their peer group, male teachers, and the surrounding community. Still, another point is poverty. These girls come from poor families, like most of us, and me who is talking to you. And they face financial constraint. Maybe as young people, they cannot raise school fees. They cannot be able to do a few basic personal effects for themselves. And they need the parents or the relatives to support them. And others may not be able also to do it. And in that way, they cannot pay their school fees. And in school, they send them away and say, go and get the school fees and get the requirements and so on. When this girl herself cannot manage, her parents cannot also manage this. At the end of it, she drops out of school because of what? Poverty. Sometimes these people who are competing after her, running over her, a friend can also signal to her and say, accept him. He will pay your school fees, especially if that is the teacher or the boss. They might think the school fees will be paid. When the person is destroying the girl, at the end of it, she may not be able to continue. That happens because of poverty. Early pregnancy happens in early marriages. As I mentioned earlier on, when she's growing, some communities have that attitude that we are going to miss what we expect out of this girl. And so they will also channel her into early marriages and early pregnancy, which happens at the same time. And then also, as I mentioned earlier on, all this happens because of the negative cultural norms, which also affect girls from home. If the girls are day scholars, for example, boys are in the same home with the girls, you will see that a girl coming home right at the entrance of the house, the mother is already calling her, please go and get fast some water, do this, do that. But the boy comes, sits down, he rests, takes a shower, picks his books, starts reading. So boys have enough time to read, to do their homework, and the girls do not have any little time to do this. They are taken up by domestic work. And until morning, she gets up early to do what she can do for the house, to help the mother with the little ones. Then she picks her books and go to school, which most of us went through, including me. Thank God I never had time to sit and read. For me, what a teacher could teach in class was enough. This could happen to so many girls still in this country. The time they have to learn is only to sit and listen to the teacher in the class. Apart from that, she has no other time to revise, to read, to do research, get to the library, and do other activities. Therefore, these are the obstacles facing girls in their studies, which we need to cut it down, to reduce it down by at least developing boarding schools for them. I've seen it is helping, though they drop out, but the rate is so limited, it is so small. There is also a stigma and segregation among the girls in South Sudan, could be in Africa. The way girls are handled from home is different from what the boys are and how the boys are. You will hear a parent saying, no, girls do not do this. It's only boys who do it, and so on. So, in that way, uh, that stigma goes to her mind at her early stage that, you mean there are things girls do which boys do not do? And in that way, it will not help. Let the boys and girls be handled by parents equally the same. If it is cooking, cook in turns, fetching water, do it. Time for studies, all of them go and revise. That would help to remove the stigma in the minds of girls when they are handled at home. Also, lack of scholastic material, as it was mentioned earlier on by Daru Reida. They lack scholastic materials for them to move on well with their revision and their studies. How can this be improved? I think strict policies and rules must be set and implemented to safeguard girls' education. I'm saying this, though I can still give examples. Some years back, I would remember 2012, 2013, policies came out that whoever tampers with a school girl, defiles her, must go into imprisonment 7 years, 14 years, regardless of who you are. But I have never seen any practically being implemented. But girls are being violated. This rule is being violated, and the girls are being defiled all the time. So I'm still repeating it. Policies, rules, and guidelines must be implemented to safeguard girls in order for them to proceed ahead with their studies. Programs like that pays girls to school, for example, guest program. It was good. I'm wondering if it is still continuing. Uh, Girls who come from poor families, as I mentioned before, poverty, cannot pay school fees, cannot also cater for their personal effect. Guest program helped in paying this, and that could also uh, help the girls to proceed or to continue to achieve their dreams. Encourage family to support girls' education and look at the importance of girls' education. Let them forget the negative attitude, but they should be encouraged by the families. A teacher teaches, if let me talk of day scholars, she comes to school. On the way and at home, the teacher doesn't know what's happening to this girl there. So we need to begin it from home. And that's what I do in my school. That's what we call community sensitization. Teachers go to all the families of the girls to talk to them so that they also pick it as something very important to encourage them. When the girls are with them during holidays, it is their role to look into it and to protect the girls. That's very important for them to stay and wait until the right time. We do that during holidays and also PTA when the parents come to school for the meetings. Also, massive campaign sensitization should be taken into consideration in all the communities for girls' education. That should happen across this country of South Sudan. Massive campaign on the importance of girl child education. Also, I would say more points that the government must establish, must, I repeat, establish residential schools for girls in all the 79 counties. I know the impact would be great because less will drop out, many more will be able to achieve their dreams. Rather than just standing, talking, girls go to school, we need you to progress, get professions, do this, not coming to set a conducive environment for them on that platform that that can help them to move ahead. I like this slogan, and that's what I am. Actions speak louder than words. Can we move away from too much talk and do what is practical for girls in this country? There are only 79 counties. In addition, maybe the administrative areas. This is not an issue for the government. They have a lot of money. They can establish proper and the best boarding schools for girls. Please, I beg them for this to do it practically, starting from the year 2022. I hope it is already in their plan and on the top list. Again, I would encourage the government of South Sudan to support a few individuals who might have come up with the initiative to establish boarding schools or private sector or day school. Those are the few things that they cannot concentrate on. They can only support and leave the community to continue with that school or those few schools. But they should establish as government this primary and secondary, I would say from nursery schools. We have few nursery schools. We need many more for nursery schools. So many, almost in all the areas, there should be nursery schools. Primary schools are across, and boarding schools are all over the 79 counties. That can be done by the government. We trust the government. We believe they can do it. So we are just encouraging them now with our talk. That's what can really help this country and the guns to move further than expected. And I would also say getting back, strict laws. The law should be set by the government. People who defilement is a crime. Now, let me talk of this. I touched it before. Defilement is a crime. In South Sudan, and even as I talk now, you will see people who are of high caliber. They understand what I'm talking very well. They know women are there of their level, mature women. They still leave this one and go to defile a 14-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl. And the parents, out of shame, this is what is happening. I don't know, parents, they have to come out of this. Out of shame, respect for this person who has the highest dignity in the society. They wouldn't like to bring this into to books. They would just play it quietly, silently, and this person who knows all the rights, all the mistake, the crime that the person has done, will give a lot of money to the parents, and that will silence them. They will get quiet, silence them, and they will keep quiet. I'm talking defilement is a crime. My fellow countrymen, from top to bottom, can we please refrain from this and leave the young girls to grow and become our future leaders? And they will be the wives to your sons, not you. Your time, you know what it is. But these ones, let us groom them for the future. You also groom the boys for them to be their future husbands. Please, I beg this from all the men in this country. Thank you for listening to me. Then the last one, not least, we need more provision of scholastic materials to the girls and to the rest of the schools as well. This, we have the partners, our friends who are in this country. I think the government can encourage them to provide this scholastic material, the books, the textbooks, the pens, and so on, and come up with the proper syllabus, as my colleague mentioned it, not a thin, rough one being collected here and there. Let us do what we can within our country and just borrow ideas to add to it. So provision is very, very important. How can you, if you watch girls or PPs and students in rural areas, one exercise book is what this person, this people go with it, and she writes all the subjects. One subject at the beginning of the exercise, another one in the middle, and another subject at the end of the same single exercise. People, my countrymen, my country leaders, I love you, I respect you. I humble myself today to tell you we have a lot of money in this country. Can we please set a proper foundation? When we perish, let us be proud we have done something for the next generation. Thank you very much. That's what I can take you through for this question.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for an honest, and clear, again, plea to the government and for us all. And I think you mentioned so many challenges or obstacles, but also you came up with improvement. How can we improve them? And these recommendations are really uh, practical. They will be able to be realized if the government takes it serious, and also the community. You mentioned the community sensitization is very important because our cultural norms, also attitudes, are also a hinder towards girls' education. So we have to take that seriously. School-home collaboration is very important, as you said, in your school, where the parents, the teachers go out in the community to talk to to the parents. That's really important also to make the parents also know what their children are going through and what the importance of education for them to be able to support them. Boarding schools are important, as you mentioned, and both of you have also mentioned the importance of having school materials in place and for governments to support initiatives that are out there. So thank you so much for that. I'll continue with you, Duru. You've already mentioned some of the challenges in regards to the quality of education. And we see that many employees, as you mentioned earlier, prefer to employ graduates from other countries instead of employing South Sudanese who graduated from one of the main institutions in South Sudan, saying that because of the poor job performance and poor writing skills, what is the long impact of this when our country do not hire their own teachers?
Thank you so much, Ms. Dora. It's true. When you look at most institutions, NGOs, and other areas or sectors, they prefer to employ graduates from other countries rather than our own country. Those ones, let me say, we have a lot of universities in the country currently compared to those days. These days, we have a lot of graduates who have graduated within, but they're jobless. They do not have something to do. Instead, you find that most of these working places, or let me say, most of these employers tend to employ those from other institutions outside South Sudan. This is true, and the reason being, this one goes back still to our quality of education. The reason why it's happening is also because of the quality of education. And that one, again, takes me back to students getting something that is ready. They do not have that knowledge. They do not have the knowledge to do something themselves. That's why you find that somebody has a first-class degree, and then when he or she is taken to the field, he will not do to the best compared to the grades he got. That is because he either cheated in the exams or he was given a paper through a certain way, but did not go systematically as needed. You find that most of these let me say, employers, they have that in their mind. They have that mentality of saying South Sudan has the worst type of education, right? And then because of that, they continue neglecting the graduates from South Sudan. But this one, in the long run, is going to cause a lot of unemployment in the country. Leave along that, of course, unemployment comes in with a lot of high crime rates. People are unemployed, and then they find another way of living in a different manner. That is going to be happening in the long run. As per now, Though we have a lot of South Sudanese who are employed, but then there are also a big number of South Sudanese who are unemployed. You find that a foreigner will come to South Sudan like 2 months ago, like, and then all of a sudden that person already has a job, and you who has finished from South Sudan, you're like 2 years home without a job. And then sometimes you ask yourself why. You apply every month almost, but you're not even called for any interview. Sometimes they get these applications, they look at it, they first rush to the institution, then they see this one is from this institution, they first put you aside. They get those ones who completed from uh, other institutions. Though to a smaller extent, actually, they are kind of improving these days because some of the institutions around have also improved so much in terms of quality graduates, people who can deliver when it comes to their work. And then when you look at those graduates that are coming from other countries, most of them, they are employed on the, let me say, these top positions. Most of the top positions are occupied by these graduates from other countries. That is because they assume, okay, they believe that our graduates do not have the potential to deliver or to do something compared to the graduates from there. That all comes because of our quality of education. So in the long run, if we improve the quality of education now in South Sudan, in the long run, we are going to reduce the number of unemployees in the country. Recently, in other counties, people are striking, people, are demonstrating that they are left out, they are not given jobs because of that. You find a lot of graduates from other institutions outside the country or foreigners are in the system because of a poor work, system of work. Somebody has finished, let me say, somebody did a medicine. You finished a medicine in one of the universities, and then you're employed to do some work in one of the teaching hospitals or clinics. You find they mess up a lot. They mess up so much because when you look at the science subjects, let me first talk about the science subjects. When you look at the science subjects, honestly, it is affecting us in South Sudan so much. When you look at the doctors, nurses, and clinical officers who are coming up in the country, we have a lot of nursing training institutes. We have a lot of them, and they are graduating every year. But the products that the graduates that we are getting are not really to that, because in secondary school in South Sudan, what I've realized, we do not have practicals. Practicals are not there. You find that in other countries, when you're doing science subjects, they introduce practicals in chemistry, in physics. You start it from this level in the secondary school. By the time you go and do your course uh, in these universities or institutions of nursing, it will be easy. You're just topping up on the knowledge that you have. And then by the time you get out, you have something very good in you. But here, what I've realized is, with you're doing sciences, history, you're doing, biology, you're doing chemistry, you're doing physics, there's no practicals. You're just doing theory. And then you reach that level of, you join the institution, you start doing the course, they introduce you to practicals. You look at it, and it's very hard now to cope up because you're seeing all these apparatuses for the first time. And then sometimes in the due course, maybe for example, you're doing a certificate, you're not going to get all this during this duration, because even sometimes these lecturers will not give you everything. You will have to do some of these things on your own. That is why it is very good also when it comes to science subjects. This one goes to the government. yeah, in the next years to come, let me just say that if they can introduce practicals to science students in secondary level, it will help them so much. You'll even find that we'll not have these cases of uh, uh, unemployment. You find that somebody is advertising, maybe let me say a very big hospital or an international hospital is advertising for a position of a nurse, and then somebody who finished from St. Mary's nursing school, and then someone who finished from let me say somebody who finished in Kenya or Uganda or Tanzania, they're all having their applications. They take, and then that person will definitely go for the one who finished from another country because he knows or he has compared or he believes that the ones outside are better than the ones here. And that is true. It's because of the education, the poor quality education system that we have. Most of these things are introduced at tertiary institutions, and then you find that because they've never been introduced to them before, they do not get the content as it is supposed to be. By the time they finish up, they are raw. They do not have anything to deliver. That is why most employers or most institutions or working places tend to employ graduates from other countries. If the government can improve the quality of education in South Sudan, as I talked before, first of all, the teachers, and then we come to the to cheating of exams. If that one can be minimized, see, if cheating of exams can be minimized, we will also have quality graduates, graduates who perform to their best, graduates who make use of their brain. And then by the time they go out there in search of a job, when they are employed, they really deliver something. They give out their best. And then this, in the long run, will of course reduce the issue of unemployment. And then you find that because of these uh, and employing graduates from other countries, you'll find that this will make parents or us South Sudanese, most of us South Sudanese now will tend to send our children to other countries to study. Because now your child is finishing from within, she stays for 2 years without getting a job. And then you as a parent, you're asking yourself why. And then when you realize the problem, these other ones, you will send them definitely to other countries to go and study. And then that is where our level or our education system is not going to change. So the most important thing here is one, the government has to improve so much on science subjects, especially introducing practicals in an ordinary level or secondary school level, so that in the when they join these institutions, they don't find it very hard. You find that somebody is doing bachelor's in medicine, but even by the time he finishes, cannot even do an operation, and yet he's a surgeon. He cannot do anything. He can mess up. People are dying in these hospitals because of such issues. People are dying in these health centers because of having graduates who are incompetent, graduates who do not have the knowledge because of that system, because of our education system. But if the government can introduce science subjects in secondary school so that they can be employed within the country, or other institutions or other NGOs or hospitals can employ them, so that it reduces the unemployment problem in the long run. And then the government also has to do something on if you look at the quality of education, if the government is able to improve the quality of education, especially in the government schools. This one really goes so much to the government schools because there are a lot of government schools in South Sudan. And then there are a lot of parents, because of the poverty, there are a lot of parents who cannot afford to take their kids to these private schools. And then what they do is send their children to these government schools. But then what do they bring out? What do they come out with after finishing from this government school? Very, very, really very poor. You find that as who are in the secondary sector, you find you're registering a pupil who finished from a government school, And then at the same time, we're registering pupils who finish from a private school. There's a very big difference between these two. You find that these ones from the government school, they even are the same people who are repeating senior one because they were not given enough materials, or they were not even taught well. And then you wonder how they passed and got to that level of joining secondary school. They are really facing a very big problem in secondary school. They cannot write, they cannot speak, they cannot. And because sometimes I ask myself why this is all happening, but I've realized because there is no good teaching, especially in these government schools. So if the government can improve the sector, especially the government schools, if they can really increase on the salaries of the teachers to stay, or employ trained teachers in these government schools, it will improve, or it will reduce that problem that is going to come in the next few years. Like, for example, the unemployment, the high crime rates due to the unemployment that are going on right now. These days there's a lot of competition, if I may say so. Because of this competition, there are a lot of graduates from better institutions or universities, and then you find that these are the graduates who are getting employment, and then these ones who finished within, they are left out. They are left out because of our quality of education, and then we tend now to send those who have, of course, the money. They will send their students or their children out of the country. And then in the long run now, even other schools will start closing. Why? Because they are not students. People are sending their students or their children to other countries to study. Before, in the early years of 2000, 2013, 14, 15, around there, they were really very, you don't, the school is big, but there are very few pupils and students, because most of them are studying in other countries. But right now, what I've realized, we have a lot of the countries currently registering a lot of pupils and students in these schools because of the lockdown in Uganda. But now, when Uganda opens schools, these people will still go back because they have that mentality that we have a poor quality education, which they know that is going to affect their kids in future when it comes to terms of getting a job. So if the government can do something on this by improving the education sector, reducing malpractices in schools, even you find that some of these universities, up to the university level, they still cheat. You find that somebody is sitting for the final exams, but is still being given answers. You copy and paste everything, and then you expect to go and do something good when you get a job. It cannot happen. So what we are supposed to do as teachers, this one goes to the teachers, because I also, to some greater extent, I blame the teachers because of that desperation. You're being desperate, you want money, and then you're in the system of setting exams. Because you need the money, you start selling out these exams to these learners. You make them lazy. They do not read because they know they're going to get exams from these teachers, and this in the long run is the one causing most of these graduates not to get employed in our country, South Sudan. Instead, they will get stuck and stagnant. You find them, some of them are riding bodaboda, some of them are hawking goods on the way. Yet these are graduates who have not been employed in the country because of the poor quality education we have, because of malpractices, because they've not gone through the right way. I think
Thank
that's
you.
all I have for
Mm.
this question.
Thank you for that insightful list of challenges, as you mentioned, and again, improvement, what the government can do about that. And as you mentioned, is minimizing the cheating. I think we should not even allow it, at the first place. And of course, just to not allow it that it happens, because as you said, it's just like building a house. You have to start brick by brick. You can't skip one step and then build on the other, because the house will just follow. So it's the same with building the foundation, with these children. When they move from primary to secondary without the basic skills in place, then they will not be able to continue further. And that shows also the gap we see when secondary leavers get into the university, when you haven't learned the practicals again. So these consequences will follow them until they get into their professions. And that's really worrying for us as a nation. And again, I think it's also, as you mentioned, in regards to the government's responsibility in allocating the services that is necessary in the schools and for the teachers. These are all important things that need to be in place. And I'll just continue further in regards to the female teachers, Nagomoro, Honorable. You are one of them, and you have a lot of the female teachers in your school. What are the dreams they're having as female teachers? And can some of these dreams really be realized in the context where we're living in now, given the situation of the country, and what role can the government play to improve and to realize the dreams of those teachers who are really trying their best to give the education that the children need, and to give them a better future as the future leaders of the nation.
Thank you very much. Allow me just to underline two things from the what she has mentioned, the cheating case, with an example. If they improve and open schools where they cater for the transport for the teachers are trained, teachers are fed well, teachers are paid well, and they commit themselves, they know how to teach. For example, like the school which I'm running, there is no teaching that cheating. Children do not cheat. They use that entire brain to answer the exams because they know they've gone over all the syllabus together, they've revised it, and they go very happy and sit for exams. They don't fear, they don't panic. So that's the way forward. I'm just hinting to our government to implement. And then second one is, sure, true, the government also should appreciate their own. And let me say, we South Sudanese should appreciate our own. Some of the students have graduated from the same universities across the country, in Uganda, in Kenya, and when they come back here, they don't get employment. Why is it so? There is something fishy there. Practically, I have seen this person is a South Sudanese, though she has completed primary, secondary, and university in Uganda from the same university. We cannot employ that person. We need foreigners to do this. And that's why a lot of crimes are going to increase in this country, to be honest. Much as those who complete here, we have heard they are not well, they don't have the potential, cheating and so on. But there are a few coming from out, and these are our own. Let us appreciate and employ them. I saw one institution, one NGO, South Sudanese was employed at a higher level. When they realized that was a South Sudanese, immediately the contract was terminated and the person was sent away, and they brought a foreigner. People, I'm talking out of the pain from the community. If we can't appreciate our own and employ them, those who are qualified, whom we know they can perform well, why do you expect them to get employment? They can't work across the country, much as our neighbors have a lot of employment in this country. Unlike South Sudanese, they cannot have it in other countries. And they cannot also get jobs in this country. Exactly. Where do you expect them to get jobs? They will resort into crimes, and this will never come to an end. Thank you. Now let me come to the dreams of the female teachers. Female teachers in this country, these are some of the dreams they would wish and would like to further their education. Let me say they have different levels. Some have diploma certificate. They would like to improve and move to bachelor of degree, well trained. As we go on emphasizing, they need more training centers where they can really improve and further their education. Another point is, yes, they have that dream to deliver the best standard of education to the pupils. But on which ground do they stand? We still need proper training to the teachers, to the female teachers, as for them to achieve their dreams. We need to encourage the female teachers and the girl child as much as possible that they can stay in school. Those are the dreams, to have these girls to continue in the right manner. It also takes us to see that uh, many of the female teachers in the nearest future would would pick interest in the teaching profession if there is conducive environment for them right away now, that they see the future, that yes, all the areas you have mentioned can be achieved, they can be satisfied as professional teachers, they can deliver services best to the pupils. That will encourage them and the number will increase gradually in this country, that the female teachers can move on. These are the dreams. Female teachers, they hope to be and to continue as role models in this country. And as role models, they expect the society, the government, to recognize their performance and their efforts in contributing in education to this country. Much as they are, they hope to improve on the quality on their papers. But the little contribution or the much they do, they perform, should be recognized and appreciated. They are also contributing. Therefore, that is the dream that will help them and make them feel happy. Of course, female teachers, they dream that they deserve the respect they need from the community, from the society, from the students, and they wouldn't like to be marginalized. These are female teachers. We should handle them well and train them, promote them, encourage them to do the best they can for this country. Another thing is, well, we always talk of 35% affirmative for the female in this country, which is a very positive gesture, and we appreciate and like it. However, this 35% is not so much implemented and not well understood. It has gone to so many institutions in this country. And you find in a school, if there are two female teachers and 10 male teachers, when the female said, we are few, we need many more. You say, the two of you are already 35%. That's enough. You don't need any more. So there is a misunderstanding here about this 35%. And we don't know how to divide it and how to implement it. One single woman or one or two are not equal to the 10. That's not 35. And they discourage the two and say, we are already 35. Please, we need to clear the air about this in institutions. So female teachers wish and hope that this should be a dream that will be clarified in the future, that many more would be able to acquire this profession. Of course, the roles of the government in this regard, we have already touched most of them. We still wish to repeat. Roles of the government in this regard that I've mentioned. Government should improve on the teacher's salary, as I mentioned before, and female in particular, of course. There should be a provision for the learning materials and scholastic in schools. Teachers need basic female teachers. When you teach, you need to have the material. The students need to have the material as well. You just don't go to the class without lesson plan, without a scheme of work, and the rest of it. Those are the basics a teacher must have. And out of that, you need to have this is syllabus, the textbooks, and so on. As a trained teacher, as my colleague mentioned it, that will help you to go beyond and further in order to impart knowledge to this kid to understand better. If it is so limited, you may not deliver the best of the knowledge that you have to the kids. And still, we repeat, government is encouraged to build the best schools, day and boarding, and they should continue to establish teachers training centers in all the counties. We are repeating this because it's very important. We need this to be done, and that's why we keep on repeating them. And the government should also provide and think of free primary schools. This will help to reduce or eradicate illiteracy in this country. We have we have not established ourselves yet. As we are talking, employment is a problem. How much more for those who cannot even cultivate? I'm a farmer. There is a lot of insecurity in this country. So how do you expect the school fees to be paid and the rest of it? So we would wish there should be free primary education in this country. And more, as I mentioned before, government should establish many more nursery schools. And also, there should be a provision of lunch. This is something very important. There is, for us teachers, when the kids are hungry, empty stomach, they will not listen to you. However much you try to teach them, they may not capture it well because they are hungry. So we are saying this should be done for nursery schools and a primary provision of lunch. Though the teachers can encourage the parents as well to come along with the packed food in nursery, that one is always done, and lower primary. But there should be lunch. This cannot defeat the government. We know, we trust they can do it. Um, we also see that some of the roles could be we have so many young people who are disabled. There should be establishment of schools for the disabilities. These people are talented. They have the ability, they have the quality in them. If the schools are open, you can see how much they can contribute to this country. So I urge this should be one of the roles. I know a few schools are there for disabilities, but that's not enough yet. The government needs to do much more than what we have now for the disabilities. We have so many dropouts who need vocational schools, and that is life skills, and that's self-employment. Instead of job seekers, you will be a job maker. This is what we expect from the government. If you think these people cannot be employed all, and it is true, the government cannot employ the whole population of the country, please establish vocational schools, vocational centers for these school dropouts to acquire skills and then employ themselves and do something that can benefit them to survive on. And we also need, I've already mentioned, teachers, female teachers, on both male and female should be given accommodation and transport that will help them commit themselves to their teaching profession. That's what I would say briefly in regard to the dreams of the female teachers and the roles of the government in regard to the education. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Nagomoro. Both of you have really highlighted on lots of these challenges. You have come up with so many recommendations. And I think we'll go on to your final remarks. And I'll start with you, Duru. If there's any recommendations that you haven't mentioned that you want to mention, you do it now. And also in regards to what Nagomo has said with the female teachers, if you have some comments there before you come with your recommendations, please do that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Bridget. Uh, um, Adding on something to the female about the female teachers. Uh, According to what I've been observing, for sure, if the government is to open up more institutions, national teachers colleges around the country, it will really improve so much, because currently what I've observed is there are very few female teachers. For example, that I can speak a live example of myself. Where I teach, I'm the only female teacher, and I think that school has never got a female teacher ever since they established. So at the moment, I'm the only female teacher. I've been trying to look around to get another female teacher to join me, but still, it's very hard. They are there, of course, but because of these challenges of teachers facing a problem of low pay and what have you, they are not willing, but they are again few. So, Miss Bridget, I hope the government will really listen to
Sorry, you are on mute, Ms. Duru. No, you've gone on mute. We can't hear you. No? Yes.
Okay, it's okay now, I hope. In 2016, only 9% in the whole country, out of 100, we only had 9% of female teachers. Of course, that is really too low. So, to my recommendation, if there are more institutions for teachers to go for trainings, I'm sure it will encourage many female teachers to come on board. Of recent, there's some NGOs. One of it I know is a Window Trust. They are trying to sponsor primary teachers in one of the colleges around. I think that's St. Mary's. They try to advertise, but then still the turn up is low, because they want specifically female teachers, but the turn up is very low. I hope by now they have the number, but the turn up was low because of discouragements from people. Someone is kind of willing really to go for the course, but people discourage them. You want to go for that course, it's not good. And this one goes out to the community. They should not discourage any female who is willing to go for the profession. Shouldn't be discouraged from doing the profession that she wants. But because of the mentality we carry in us, we see that this profession has no meaning. But this is because it is us who make it like that, including our government, that is causing all this. But if we can improve on that, it will be so great. For those who do not have the information, let them look out for these opportunities. Opportunities are there. There are NGOs that are sponsoring uh, uh, teachers, but they are nowhere to be seen. I remember there was a year Window Trust wanted to sponsor secondary teachers. They wanted around, I think, 15, only 9 turned up. Others accepted, money was paid into the bank, tuition, and then they did not surface. So that money just had to go like that. So it is also discouraging some of these NGOs who are trying their level best to sponsor female teachers. But this is also because of the community, the way they talk about the profession and then discouraging. I'm very hopeful that in the future, this profession is going to be very good and everyone will come. That is if the government tries to improve it and tries to make sure that teachers are treated good, or teachers are treated in a way that other professionals or other people are being treated in their professions, or even increasing their salaries, both government and primary, I mean government and private schools. If they are treated well, I'm sure we'll have more female teachers. But if this is just a song that is being sung, please come and join the profession without any action being said, as Miss Bridget said, it is going to change nothing. We will still remain the same. But we, as the community outside there, we should be encouraging some of this. If there are these opportunities, don't shut them down. Instead, encourage them to go and join this training. You find that somebody is sitting at home, no fees to go to school, but because there's this opportunity, she does not even want to go. She rather stays at home, but and than taking such opportunities. So I'm so happy for these NGOs that are coming up to sponsor girls in the profession, and then I also urge the community to encourage all the female in the system to join the profession. It will help us. We need more female teachers in the secondary and the primary sector. Thank you. I think that's all I can add.
Thank you so much for what you've added and for the recommendations that you have come up with. We really appreciate that and thank you. Uh, Ms. Bridget, give
Yes,
us your final remarks and maybe a comment to the Rose.
thank you so much. I've given a lot of recommendations, just two or three that I can just add to what my colleague has already mentioned. I would like to talk about the rights of a female teacher. A female teacher who is already trained, she teaches well, she has the potential, and she is married, she commits herself to do her job. Please, I've come across this and it sounds a little bit queer to me. I don't know if that was true. That such a female teacher is not does not deserve to have maternity leave. No, that is her right. Female teachers must have their maternity leave. I do it practically in the school. I always lean to it as an example. I allow my female teachers who, as I've mentioned, to have their babies. 3 months maternity leave. When she's much better and strong, she comes with her babysitter who takes care of the baby and she's teaching. It has nothing, it doesn't interfere with her knowledge. So please, that is the right of a female teacher, which she deserves, and it must be given to her. Second, I've repeated it and I want to underline it. Sexual harassment by bosses, counterparts, please, it is a crime. Stop it as I talk now to you. The female teacher is a fully human being with a full human rights. So don't temper as if you can just, woo her as if she's not a human being. No, don't harass her. You are a boss. She came because of her brain. She applied, she went through interview, she's able to deliver service. That is what you have to respect her for. There is nothing again you need from her. No more sexual harassment by bosses to the fellow female teachers. Please, I urge this. Last but not least, back to the cheating. In this country, I've come across this. If it is true or not, you who are listening to me, you can correct me. There are parents who, when they are children or girls or boys are in candidate class, P8, senior 4. They get money consciously, get or buy exams, give to the daughter or the son. She goes through it, then this child goes and sits for the exams, passes very well. The same parent who cheated, I would say, because he did it for her or she, will again organize a party, buy goats or a cow. Come, let us celebrate. My daughter has done very well. Exactly. Are you a parent who is conscious? What do you expect of this girl, this daughter of yours, or this boy in the future? And this is where challenges come from. You are weakening that engine in his mind, which is the brain that he's supposed to use so that in future he can also implement it during interview and so on. Parents whom I call cheating parents, if you are listening to me, please, I beg you to stop it today. Buy scholastic material, provide all that is needed for the kid, and leave her or him to use the brain that will help her tomorrow. That's the underlining recommendation that I can give. Thank you so much for having given us this time and this opportunity. And all the listeners who are there, we appreciate the time you've given us. And we pray that this country will be transformed.
Mm,
I look for a better and the best South Sudan with
mhm,
a proper foundation, a vision, and a dream which are implemented. And on it, I would say, let our
mhm,
generation die leaving proper foundation for the next generation to build on. That's my
mhm.
summary. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for both of you for enlightening us about the condition of female teachers in South Sudan, the challenges they meet, and the challenges that we meet as a nation regarding our education and the quality of the education. You have mentioned lots of improvement that can be made. You have urged the government, you have urged us also, the citizens, the community, to be able to improve the education and be able to contribute towards educating our children. And in regard to female teachers, education system need to make sure that barriers that are not that are barriers that are created for female teachers are removed, and that governments also provide for schools the materials that are needed, and that women have the same chance as men to be promoted to managerial positions. As Duru mentioned, she's the only teacher in her school. And if the situation is as it is today, that teachers are not paid well, then education sector or being a teacher is not attractive enough for us to get students to get into the field of education. So we need more training, colleges for teachers, boarding school for school children, so that they get the quality education that is needed. And again, we need colleges that can accredit the education and the certificates that our graduates come up with, so that they are, when they apply for jobs, they get the jobs that they are qualified for. So thank you so much for enlightening us, for your insights and the recommendations. And I hope the people listening will be able to do something about it. We all can contribute in our various capacities. The NGOs that are helping to train female teachers, we can support them financially, and we who are and others who are sitting in positions to be able to influence policies and change them, they have also some power to do that. So thank you so much, and we thank the UN Women for providing you to the access to internet, and thank you, Aisha, for being at the background, assisting us technically. I wish you all a blessed weekend, and thank you so much. Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.